What's up, YouTube? It's Reggie, and let's get into the word of the day. We're on 1 Samuel chapter 8 if you want to follow. I'm trying to get all of this in before I go to work. I still got to read my praise Bible too. So let's get right. It says, Israel demand for a king. And it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second was Abiel. And they were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, and turned aside from liquor, and took bribes and perverted judgments. Then all the judges, elders of Israel, gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they did. Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And then the speaker notes for this page say, the sons, move the mic, my bad. Says the son's location in Beersheba at Israel's southern edge suggests Samuel did not intend to abdicate his role in Ramah just because he had appointed his sons. Samuel's sons turned out to be much like Eli's sons. The elders still appreciated Samuel's leadership. In fact, they wanted him to appoint a king for Israel. The observation that Samuel was old recalls the situation with Eli. The elders knew they could no longer count on his leadership much longer. The words like all the nation contradicted God's desire that Israel be distinct, though the law of Moses did allow for the establishment of a king. And then it finishes saying, And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people, and all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I shall not reign over them, according to all the works which they have done since the day I brought them out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice. Howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and shew them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. Samuel warns Israel, and Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen. And some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands, and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground, and reap to his harvest, and make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters be confectionaries, and to be cooks and be bakers. He will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. He will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyard, and give it to the officers, and take his servants. He will take your men servants, and your maid servants, and your goodliest young men, and your asses, and put them to work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants, and ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which you have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in this day. Israel repeated the demand for a king. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us. They may be like all the nations, but our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people and rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, Hearken unto their voice and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go ye every man unto his city. Let me read the speaker notes. This is the words protest solemnly could also be translated strongly testify. They sounded a somber note in the midst of a message of eloquence. Explaining the manner of the king denotes a challenge to count the high cost of the kingship would bring to the people. On manner of the king, see note at verse 9. Chariots is actually an actual singular both times, suggesting the duties mentioned in this verse pertain more to the king's personal honor guard. The law of Moses commanded tithes to support the priests and Levites, but a king would demand much more or meet his desire. And then it says, the king's additional desire for a tenth of the people's sheep would impact the shepherds for the land as well as the farmers. The heavy burden of the people would bear to support the monarchy might well leave them feeling like servants instead of citizens. The people had heard Samuel's word, but they had not heeded them, and they were determined to have a king. And for me, this is very, like the understanding of this is simple. It's the fact that the people didn't listen to the Lord. The Lord sent Samuel they asked him to send for the king. And then he's warning them what's going to happen with the king. He's telling them prophecy. If you get a king, the king is going to basically oppress you. He's going to take advantage of you and make you feel like servants. And they don't heed his words. They don't listen to what he says. and they still want the king. It just shows, basically, kind of, for me, this is like a real life translation to how we live. Um, time and time again, God tells us that living for the world will not fulfill us. It will not make us feel fulfilled. But we still tend to live for the world. Still tend to choose things of this world over God. And for me, like I said, I had to own up to that and admit that, and I've made a lot of growth since then. And even yesterday, I got baptized. I still haven't got the video, but when I get the video, I'll post it. But that was a great moment for me because I feel like my heart's been changed, but now I'm fully made anew by God. You know what I'm saying? I publicly I made a declaration of my faith yesterday, so that was beautiful. Um, but it just shows that sometimes God will warn us and tell us about the future, and we won't listen to it just because of our own personal agenda, thinking that we have it when we really don't. So I would say for this, a way of thinking about it is, like I said, trust God with all your heart and listen to what He says, because He's never going to steer you wrong as far as telling you. He's never going to sugarcoat it. Like, He's always going to tell you what's going to happen. Even with the people He's telling them, if you promote a king, He's going to oppress you, and they didn't listen. So I already know the next chapter is going to be explaining how the king is oppressing them because they still wanted the king. So that's the takeaway I get from this. Stay blessed, and like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and share this with someone that needs to hear it, that needs to change their heart and open up to God now. Stay blessed, and I'll be back tomorrow. Peace.